Hello and welcome back to the Mainly Sports Podcast. He's Jeesh,
And he's Shoop.
and today's podcast is on our top 10 WWE finishers. So this one I'm going to start out this time. So we're just going to jump right into it. Number 10, we have, it's two people's, Rob Van Dam and Eddie Guerrero's Frog Splash.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I have both is because one is not like the other. And they're both unique and good for their own reason. So Eddie Guerrero's, I like Eddie Guerrero's shoulder thing that he does, like Eddie Guerrero, I did the shoulder, I did the shoulder shrug, like you could see what I was doing, but yeah, he gets up there, he looks out to the crowd, he does that Eddie Guerrero smile, then shoulder shimmy, gets up there and jumps off. It wasn't pretty, but the way he landed was, in my opinion, cleaner than Rob Van Dam's, and it looked like it actually hurt more. But then Rob Van Dam in the air, Rob Van Dam got so much height. His tuck on the frog splash, it just looks so good. I wish it would have looked better when he would land on them, and he was a little too much over the top with the whole flip over and always kicking his legs and grabbing his stomach. But I think it was a little too over the top. But I mean, granted, it would hurt jumping on somebody else. I mean, let's be real here. So I couldn't pick between them two, so I just did both of their frog splash. So that's my number 10.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with you on that one. Seeing them do the frog splash all them years was always fun to watch. Anytime either one of them got on the top rope, you knew it was coming, and it was just a fantastic move. Yeah. Anyway, moving on to my number 10, we have the Jeff Hardy Swanton Bomb. The reason why I like this is because it's not the move per se, it's the way he utilized it. Jeff Hardy was a crazy dude, and the Swanton Bomb was a crazy move because you're doing a front flip off the top rope for one, and then you landed on your basically on your neck, the bottom of your neck area. But Jeff Hardy would put chairs on you and Swanton bomb you onto it, or he'd put you on a table and do the move and break the table, or he'd jump and they'd move off the table and he'd go through the table. It was just so fun watching him do it. Just the Hardy Boys in general, but Jeff Hardy was definitely the crazy one.
You did forget the most iconic version, though. The first ever TLC tag team match, him jumping from the top of the ladder through the tables. Yeah, I mean, he has so many Swanton Bomb moments that are memorable, especially to do with ladders. Dude, Swanton Bomb, looks like it messes up your own neck. Like, the reason why I don't have it in my list is just because he's only hitting them with their head. So it doesn't look like it does too much damage.
That's why I had him at number 10.
Yeah, exactly. But it was my honorable mention for a couple of seconds. So I agree. Number 9 for me is the Big Show's choke slam. We talked about this where Big Show got lazy later on in his career and changed it to the punch. But Big Show had the greatest choke slam of all choke slams. Don't get me wrong, Undertaker, very good choke slam. Kane, very good choke slam. Most people that have a choke slam in their careers, Hurricane Helms even had a good choke slam. It's a pretty easy move to do, and pretty basic move. But Big Show's was so good because he was so huge, so they were coming down from so far, but also he would take his other hand off them and hold them up with one arm. Not bigger people, but smaller people that he could do it with. He would hold them up with one arm, and do his whole rah thing. And it was so cool. And then to go down with them like he's driving them down into the ground. It was definitely the best choke slam in WWE for sure. So number 9, Big Show's choke slam.
I always loved Big Show's choke slam for all the reasons you just said. I think Kane's was a very good choke slam as well. I will say that because when he came down with it, he kind of like threw his arm in a certain way, like stay down on the ground, don't get back up. But and with both of them being in that tag team together, they both did choke slams together in the same ring. So always fun to watch choke slam, no matter who's doing it. Number 9 on me, 9 on my list is the Stone Cold Stunner. The reason why I put it so low on the list because I'm not really a big fan of Stone Cold, so I didn't put it so much higher. But the stunner is such an iconic move. Him just randomly hitting stunners at random times in unexpected moments, including him stunning all the McMahons all the time. And Mr. McMahon, mostly Shane McMahon. Just the way he would do it, he'd do the stunner, and then he'd flip you off first, and then do the stunner, and then he'd get down on the ground, shake his head, do his little bobble, and then grab his beers. And that's what I'm gonna say about that, because I don't know if you have it on your list or not, but that's my number 9.
Yeah, I'm glad you stopped because I'm gonna go right into my number 8, Stone Cold Stunner. Um, the reason why I have it so low on my list, obviously, it's no secret Stone Cold is my favorite superstar. But the reason why I have it so low is because it depended on who he was doing it to, on how it looked. Um, it's one of the moves that it relies heavily on the other person. So if the other person doesn't know how to take it, it does not look good. Look at Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon could not take a Stone Cold Stunner. It always looked horrible. The Rock always made it look horrible. And that's not a knock on The Rock. It is a knock on Vince because just Vince shouldn't have been in the ring. But it's not a knock on The Rock. Just some people don't know how to take certain moves. And the Stone Cold Stunner is a weird move to take because it's a scary move to take. You don't want to go down too far and actually, stiffen your chin. That would break your jaw. But shout out to Linda McMahon for taking a better stunner than her husband. That is impressive, especially at the older age that she was at. But yeah, dude, Stone Cold Stunner. There's not many finishers that are more iconic than the Stone Cold Stunner. The Hogan leg drops up there. The Rock's people's elbows up there. It just depends so heavily on who's taking it. So it could either be all the way up as high as number 2 on my list, or right off my list, depending on who's taking it. So Stone Cold Stunner at number 8.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with it. Depends on who's taking it for sure. But either way, stunner, always going to be iconic move. All right, moving on to number 8, we have the GTS, also known as the Go to Sleep, CM Punk. CM Punk was not a big guy, and him lifting people up on his shoulders sometimes was like, oh wow, this dude's actually pretty strong for being pretty scrawny. He'd get you up there, and then when you think he was gonna like flip you over or something, but then he'd drop you forward and then take a knee straight to your face. And I was like, wow, that actually looks like he's actually kneeing them in the face. So I thought that was really cool all the time. And I personally liked it when he did it when he had long hair because it looked cooler because his hair would be like flowing when he did it. But yeah, he'd hit that and just the sound of it, he'd make it sound like he was actually connecting.
Yeah, I'd agree. The CM Punk GTS was good. I think all of CM Punk's moveset was good. Just everything about it. He knew what he was good at. So it was impressive to see someone like CM Punk. Because I mean, CM Punk was built like a normal dude. Really, he wasn't like muscly and all this other stuff. He was built like a normal dude. And to see him picking up other guys like that and drop him and catching him with the knee was just cool. And even his running knee in the corner when he'd run up the rope really quick and hit him in the face with the knee. Just always, all of his moves looked crisp. So, yeah, CM Punk deserves it. Number 7 for me, Seth Rollins curb stomp. The reason why I have this on my list is because he runs up and literally stomps their head into the ground, and
Yeah.
it can be hit out of nowhere. It can be hit anywhere. I remember he was doing it to people like on the steel steps and stuff like that. He tried doing it to Dean Ambrose on cement blocks. It was a little cheesy, but it was cool. And for a while, they took it away from him because people were getting hurt doing it. He went to the pedigree, and it showed you, like, it made you want him to bring it back, and it gave me an appreciation for the move because once he went away from doing it, all I wanted him to do was do the curb stomp after that. So that's why it's in my top 10. So, yep, curb stomp, Seth Rollins, number 7.
All right, so moving on to number 7 for me. Guess what? It's the curb stomp by Seth Rollins. Basically, everything you just said. It just looks so smooth. I just love the move. It is my finishing move in WWE 2K20, which is on sale on PlayStation right now, by the way, if anyone wants to buy it. But my finishing move as my creative character, and I just love the way it looks. And it's just like you jump up, and if you get a lot of air doing it too, it looks even cooler. And then you smash the face into the ground. It's just like, damn, that would really hurt.
Yeah, dude, it's just such a cool move. It's one of the ones I like. I like finishers that looks like it hurts, can come out of nowhere, or can be done anywhere. And
Right.
that one really has all three. So I'm sure you would agree with me that you don't want your face stomped into any surface. So and I'm pretty sure that would knock just about any man out or woman.
Yeah. I'm
So
sure.
um, so number 6, I'm gonna go with Goldberg's spear.
Hmm.
And I almost gave this stuff off camera when I mentioned it. Um, I love Goldberg's spear just because it looked so damn brutal. Dude, I remember him. The one I remember the most is when uh, he was new into WWE. I think it might have been just his first night too, but it was definitely his first feud, and it was with The Rock, and he speared The Rock like 2 or 3 times, and you could see that The Rock was in serious pain. Like
Yeah.
he was not faking it. He was hurting, and it just looks so brutal. I mean, granted, Goldberg, he's intense. He beats his head off in doors, gives himself concussions. Um, just he was super intense all the time. You know, you're next. Spear him, jump up, and yell. It was uh, he's just such an intense dude, and his spear to me was just perfect. The best spear you could ask for. You would spear him, drive him down to the ground all in one fluid motion. It just looked great. Put all of his weight down onto him, and I think the biggest reason why I like his spear so much is that he honestly I don't think he cared about his opponent when he was doing his finisher. I don't think he cared who it was or if they got hurt. I think he was literally trying to make it look as real as possible, and
Yeah.
it did every single time. So, yeah, Goldberg's spear is by far the best spear in my opinion. So I have it at number 6.
Yeah. I like Goldberg's spear too. It is very, very powerful, and that's the reason why it's so good because it makes it look so real. But yeah. So moving on to number 6 for me, we have the Batista bomb, and the reason why I like this so much is because when I was younger, I grew up rooting for Batista, because he was partners with Rey Mysterio at first, and when he do the Batista bomb, before he do it, he'd go to the ropes and then he start stomping and shaking the ropes, and he got all pumped up for it, and then he'd do thumbs down and then cross his body and get all pumped up again, and then lift you up and then slam you down. It was just such a strong power bomb that it made it look like you would have broke your back. And when I was younger and we used to do wrestling on the trampolines and stuff, that was my finishing move. Granted, my friends were not as big as me, so it was easier to lift them up. So it was just such a smooth move too, and it was just perfect for him in my opinion because he's such a big, strong dude. So that's the reason why it's number 6 on my list.
Yeah, the Batista bomb was almost on mine. I had it another one again that you said that was on my honorable mention at first, uh,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't like Batista enough, and I don't think he did the move well enough. I will say I like how he sat down with it, so like he was trying to
Yeah.
get um, extra damage, I guess you could say, with it. It is better than the uh, Kevin Nash version of the power bomb. Um, but I like the last ride version more. But but that's just because he'd pick him up like up over his head and stuff. But Batista's bomb, it does look like a very good move.
Yeah.
I was just never a big Batista fan, so I never really got into it. Um,
Mhm.
Number 5 for me is John Morrison's Starship Pain. I don't know if you remember this move, but he's back in WWE now, and dude, that move is just insane. The way he bounces, definitely the most unique top rope finisher of probably all time. Like he jump up, he bounce his legs off the top rope
Mhm.
and do like a 360 spinning backflip and land on his opponent. It's just ridiculous, And when the first time I ever saw it, I was like, what the hell did I just see? And then every single time I saw it, I was like, what the hell did I just see? Like every single, you never get used to seeing it. It's just that crazy, and you're so afraid. Like every single time, you're waiting for him to literally break his neck. Like it's scary, but he never does, and he always hits it perfect. And it's such a beautiful move, and shows just how athletic WWE superstars really are. So, John Morrison's Starship Pain. And if you haven't seen it, Jeesh, I 100% tell you should go to YouTube and see it. It's insane.
Yeah, I agree. I have seen it, in fact, and all the people watching this should go to YouTube and watch it. But first, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Um, but yeah, the John Morrison move, I always wondered how he does it, because I would never be able to pull that off.
No,
I'd break so many bones in my body.
hell yeah.
But yeah, definitely athletic to do that. Moving on to number 5 from me is the Sweet Chin Music, also known as Shawn Michaels' finisher. And the reason why I like this so much is because it's mostly the anticipation leading up to it. It depends on where it's coming from. He could be stomping on the ground, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the crowd chanting into it, and then the guy turns around and just pops him in the jaw. Or it could be like someone just standing there, like they just finished the match together in a tag team match, and the guy would just turn around and then boom, out of nowhere. He could hit it anytime, anywhere, no matter if he was your friend or your enemy. He could make rivalries that way. And that's what I love so much about this move. And just the way he hit it, the way he extended his leg. I don't know how he didn't tear his groin every time, but it was just so smoothly done. And depends, like this one, it all depends on what the reaction is to the person getting hit with it. Comes after, but most of the time everybody made it look like it was real, and it was just one of my favorite moves of all time. That's why I have it at number 5.
Yeah, I think it goes without question. Shawn Michaels has the best super kick.
Yeah,
If not the best, it's the most known. If anybody mentions super kick, they think Sweet Chin Music and HBK. So
yeah,
I don't personally have it on my list. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of kicking finishers. I do want to say though, I don't have it as an honorable mention, but Aleister Black's, I think it's called Blackout or something like that. He has like a spinning heel kick finisher, and I really love that one. But 10 finishers is not enough to say all the ones you love. Because there's so many that's nostalgic, and then there's ones today that are amazing. But his is just really cool. It's the first person since Shawn Michaels that actually has a kicking finisher that I actually enjoy.
yeah,
It's like Shawn Michaels. I didn't like so much the ones that came out of nowhere. Um, I like the ones where he was, tuning up the van. Like that ones were cool because you got hyped up. You knew it was coming. But
mm-hmm.
Aleister Black's is literally just out of nowhere. You guys are fighting, and all of a sudden he does a spinning heel kick, and it just puts him to sleep. So I just want to shout out just another kicking finisher. But yeah, his Sweet Chin Music is known. I mean, it's the greatest super kick that anybody will ever
Yeah.
have, probably. So,
Oh, for sure.
Because there's never been another Shawn Michaels. So,
Mm-hmm.
so number 4 for me is The End of Days by Baron Corbin. It's just, it doesn't look like it hurts too bad. They're running at him. He catches them. They kind of like loop their body around his arm, which is kind of cool. And then he spins them back, and they hit their face off the mat. It doesn't look like it hurts too bad, but I've never seen it look bad. It's just such a beautiful finisher. Like cosmetic wise, the way it looks visually, it's such a beautiful move.
Mm-hmm.
I wish a better superstar had the move, because I don't necessarily like Baron Corbin. It's not all his fault. I think that I think like the story writers or story writer, talent, personnel people that handle character traits and stuff like that. I think they've kind of screwed his character up.
Yeah.
So I think it's lessened how I feel about him. but his move, it's just beautiful. That and the deep six. The deep six looks beautiful as well. But the end of days is just such a visually and cosmetically um, pleasing move, like to watch. It's just so good. So number 4, Baron Corbin's End of Days.
All right. I haven't seen a lot of that move. I will definitely look it up on YouTube myself so I can learn more about it. Moving on to my number 4. You mentioned the Goldberg spear earlier. I have the Edge spear at number 4. The reason why I put the Edge spear there is not like the Goldberg spear because Goldberg is just so powerful. But the thing with Edge's spear, I think it's just so clean and when he's sitting there in the corner and he's making that face and he's just pushing his hair back and he's setting you up for it, I think that's why I like it so much is the setup. I'm not necessarily liking the spear in general, even though the spear is good, but it's the setup and then the finish part. Like I just think it's so smooth, and he sets it up so good, and I just love it. I don't have much to say about it because you can't really talk about a spear, but yeah, Edge number 4, Edge spear.
Yeah, I will give you that. Goldberg did not do as good of a job as setting up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Edge, dude, Edge looked like he wanted to cut you in half. He got in the corner, he knelt down, he's pulling his hair back, he's practically foaming at the mouth, and it's
Yeah.
just he sold it so well. That is for me that's more of my favorite things about Edge rather than just the spear. Granted, it is part of the spear, so it makes sense why you would put that. But charismatic, there we go. He's charismatic,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so good. Talk about an it factor, dude. Edge. You want to talk about underrated? We talked about underrated NBA players and underrated NFL players. Talk about an underrated WWE superstar. And I know he gets a lot of love, but
Yeah.
still so underrated. Yeah, I think the reason why also I like Goldberg's spear more as well is it didn't ruin Goldberg's career, and
Yeah.
Edge's career was cut short because of the spear. Granted, the TLC matches obviously helped too, but like Edge said, him doing that move all the time, it puts a lot of strain on your neck, and ultimately it broke down, his body is broke down his neck. So ironically, the spear, his most iconic move, is also what shortened his career too. So, um,
I mean,
number th-
granted that Goldberg didn't wrestle long as Edge did,
no,
even though he is back now, but Edge wrestled just nonstop throughout all the years as well.
well, yeah, Goldberg's kind of back. He came back for it was supposed to be a one-off title run, so his son could see him as a superhero, and then
Yeah.
he left after he lost the title. Then came back for his match for the Undertaker, which was supposed to be a dream match. It bombed. Oh my god! I just pretend like that match doesn't even exist. And then he had to come back to clear his name. So, but he's gone
Yeah.
again for now. We'll see. Um, so yeah, number 3. I'm not gonna say too much on this one just because I have a feeling it's probably on yours too in this top 3. Randy Orton's RKO. It
Mm-hmm.
might be, it might not. But all I'm going to say on it for now is it's obvious why I have it on here. It's a friggin' meme. Like, even non-wrestling fans know the RKO out of nowhere. And it's just such a beautiful move. And like I said, if a move looks like it hurts, looks like it can be done anywhere, and can come out of nowhere, I love it. If it has at least one of them traits, and it has all 3. And so easily top 3 in my opinion. So Randy Orton's RKO number 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. We may talk about that later
Yep.
or soon. You never know. Number 3 on my list is the 619, made only by Rey Mysterio. This move is very unique. He gets you onto the middle rope somehow, some way, and then he bounces off the other rope, and he comes back, and then he swings around and kicks you in the face. You're like, oh damn, that might hurt. And then on top of it, he jumps on you, even though he's really small. It might hurt a little bit, but it probably don't. But it's just the way he does the move, and he gets the crowd going. Like once they land on the ropes, he just looks around like, "Do you want me to do it?" And the crowd's just like, "Yeah." do it, do it, do it. And he does the 619, and it's like, damn. It's like it's such a classic move, and no one else can duplicate it. That's the thing. It's his move. No one else will ever do it. I mean, someone could try to do it, but it's gonna be Rey Mysterio's move forever in WWE history. That's why it's number 3 on my list.
Yep, Rey Mysterio's move, soon to be Dominic's move. When Dominic comes in WWE, I think Dominic will do it, 100%. I mean, he did it with his dad on Brock Lesnar, when they did the double one, which was so cool to see, dude. I don't have. I know I was singing Rey Mysterio's theme song when we were doing these lists, and you were like, "Oh, did you just give me a tell?" No, Rey Mysterio's 619 is not on my list, and it's not because I don't like the move. I love the move. It's so cool, and it's the fact that people took it so bad all the time that is why I don't have it on my list. It's a beautiful move. He does it great on his end. It's beautiful, but just every single time, I get why they do it, but they put their arms up, and it just looks ridiculous with the wrong camera angle, because you're like, right, if he did connect, all he connected with was the person's arms. So I like, it's the same thing as Stone Cold Stunner. If they took it well, the move was amazing, but not many people did. Just the Stone Cold Stunner, more people could take it, and Rey Mysterio's not so much, and it was more out of fear of getting kicked or hurt than actually getting hurt. So, but no, it is a beautiful move. It's just people lessened it because of how they took it rather than how he performed it.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah. So number 2 for me is the Styles Clash. Dude, I wanted. I'm a fan of the pedigree. At first, I was thinking pedigree, and you can't put the pedigree when the Styles Clash is just one up of that. It's so crazy. Like, he hooks the arms, they're vertical across his body, and he jumps up and slams them down on their chest and face, and just front of their body, really. And it's just crazy. And I think the reason why it's so high as well is because of the dangerous factor. Same thing with number 1. My number 1's very dangerous as well, but it's because if they tuck their chin, it's like AJ Styles said, your first instinct is to tuck your chin. If you tuck your chin in that move, you're going to break your neck. And it shows that with James Ellsworth, he tried to tuck his neck when AJ Styles did it. AJ Styles saved that man's life by noticing that he tucked his neck. So the danger factor of it, and just the way it just looks so brutal. So yeah, dude, the Styles Clash is just crazy. So yeah, number 2, Styles Clash.
Yeah, I agree with you. I definitely would not want to take that move on any sort of mat or pavement or whatever you want to do it on. It's going to hurt either way, and he does it so good. He's not a big guy, and it's kind of crazy how he can just lift him up like that.
Yeah, and it works too because how safe he is. So
yeah,
if he does realize if somebody's doing something wrong, he'll catch it, or even in midair, he'll adjust to protect his opponent. So yeah, it's just such a beautiful move.
Yeah, AJ Styles is a great wrestler. So moving on to my number 2, we have the Tombstone Piledriver by The Undertaker. It's pretty self-explanatory why it's number 2 on my list. It's just so iconic. Basically, he lifts you up and then he drops you on your head. He tombstones you on your head, and it's not even that. It's the tombstone is so good, but when he's done, he puts your hands across your chest, and then looks directly ahead, just sticks his tongue out. There's a famous Undertaker sticking your tongue out thing, and then odds are you're not kicking out of the pin for that. And of course, Undertaker is just so legendary that he's mastered it over the years, and that's the reason why it's number 2 on my list.
I like it. So my honorable mention, we'll do my honorable mention for number 1, obviously. I have the Dudley Boys 3D. And I get it's kind of like the RKO, but you had Devon friggin', catch them, throw them up in the air by their leg, and
Yeah.
a Bubba catch him by the head and slam him down. It just was so cool. And I don't care who you are, if you were wrestling with people and you're doing a tag team match, your finisher was the Dudley Boys 3D. 100%. And if it wasn't your finisher, you did it at some point in the match with your tag team partner on your opponent. It's just it's just such a cool move. So that's why it's my honorable mention. But my number one is Undertaker's Tombstone Piledriver.
That's
And
why I didn't say so much on it.
the reason why is because it's so good. I've only seen him mess up once, and that was the match against Goldberg, where he literally dropped him on his head. Almost killed him, if we're being honest. But other than that, he never messed up. And such a dangerous move. I mean, you're dropping somebody on their head, and you're hoping, as the opponent, you're hoping that the Undertaker's arms don't slip or his arms don't give out, because you're going through a 20, 30-minute match and to still have the strength, especially the bigger guys like Tombstone and Kane. You know, like that's crazy. It's a crazy feat alone to do it just in general, but to do it after a 30-minute or 20-minute grueling match, and then now you're going to pick him up and hold him up in the air, who's another 300-pound dude, and make it look like you dropped him on his head. It's just insane. So yeah, dude, Tombstone is just so cool, and granted, you've seen it so many times, but like you said, dude, there's no other more iconic moment than, at least at WrestleMania, than the Undertaker finishing his match off with a tombstone, crossing the arms over the chest, sticking his tongue out, and rolling his eyes into the back of his head, and getting the 1, 2, 3. There's not much synonymous than that. And so I think the tombstone itself is a great move. He's one of the few to do it still, because it's outlawed in the WWE. And plus it's the Undertaker. So I mean, all around, it's just it's such a iconic move. So Tombstone by the Undertaker, number one.
Yes, I'm glad we can both agree that the Tombstone is. Well, I put number 2, you put number 1, so we know exactly how good it is, and I'm sure all of the WWE community knows exactly how good it is as well.
Oh, of course they do. Of course.
So, with that being said, moving on to my honorable mention, I'm gonna. This is kind of a submission finisher. I know we didn't have any submissions in our top 10 because they're not really like power moves, so to say. Mm-hmm. But I always loved the Walls of Jericho. Every time he did that, it just made it look like so much pain for the opponent's back. I just felt so bad for the opponents, and like I said, how I used to wrestle on the trampoline with my friends and stuff. We do that move to each other, and I don't know how much pain we were always in after the match was over, but it was so much pain, and Chris Jericho just made it look like so good. He sets you up, and then he's just like, and it looks so good when he with his tights and his boots. I'm not trying to sound, you know what? It just looks so good. It was like a perfect move for him, and that's my honorable mention.
I do want to just ask, are you talking about because he had 2 different kinds, so I'm just want to make sure that we know exactly which one you're talking about, because he had the Walls of Jericho, and then he had the Lion Tamer. The Lion Tamer, he had like them bent up on their shoulders with his knee in their back, prying them back. Or do you mean the Walls of Jericho when he just kind of had like the Boston Crab?
You got like the Boston Crab, but extended more. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. No, I agree. Both are good. I personally like the Lion Tamer just because he drove his knee into their back, and plus I'm big into nostalgia, so that's the Lion Tamer was what he came in with. So, but I mean, both looked like they friggin' hurt. Like there's no secret about that. So
yeah, the Walls of Jericho, definitely my honorable mention. Also a shout out to Scotty 2 Hotty's The Worm. just because he was from Maine, and we have nothing in Maine, and people being famous in Maine is something special. So shout out to Scotty 2 Hotty for that. Yes. But with that being said, moving on to my number 1, you've already said it. It's the RKO by Randy Orton. for all the reasons you said, and the way he does it is just so perfect. He plays it so well. He'll sit there and stalk you. It's like he stalks you anyway. He stalks you the whole match. It's not just the RKO though. It's just like every move that Randy Orton does, just he makes it look so good. I don't understand it. He makes it look like he's hurting you, but he's not. And with the RKO, he can sit there for 10 minutes and set it up, and then still be happy. And then he connects with it. He just grabs you, and the way he lands with it, he lands, and then he just like stares at you. Definitely my favorite finisher of all time. And of course, we all know it's worldwide. Everybody knows the RKO. Like you said, it's a meme. They have videos of people doing stuff like that, and then of course, JR coming over. My God, it's an RKO or something like that. But yeah, RKO definitely number one. There's no question about it in my eyes, in my opinion. So yeah, there's my list.
Randy Orton during his, I know it's not a good, it wasn't his best days, but the drug addict Viper Randy Orton. He's clean now, which is awesome. But the drug addict Randy Orton Viper days when he'd get down on the ground and like slither and hit the RKO, and then, or like when he was getting ready for it, he'd be slithering and punching the ground. It was just, dude, even if you knew, like, it was awesome when it came out of nowhere. All the jumping up, catch people as they're flying down and hitting them, hit them with it. But even when you knew it was coming, like, it was still good because you're like, oh man, here we go, because you got to see it. So, yeah, dude, it's such a good move. Shout out to the best ever RKO. When Triple H was handcuffed to the ropes and he RKOs Stephanie and then kisses her right on the lips in front of Triple H. It's controversial nowadays. They would never do anything like that nowadays. So it's controversial now, but it's one of the most iconic moments in my mind in Randy Orton's career, just because it was so dastardly and out there. It was crazy. That was back when he didn't care whatsoever.
Right. So speaking of the RKO, I have a personal favorite RKO. If anyone wants to go watch it, the way he just hits it, it's the Randy Orton RKO when he faced Jeff Hardy at the Royal Rumble in 2008. Go look it up. It's just so smooth.
Yes. Yep. That is a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, you know that the one where he goes for the twist of feet.
Yeah. Yeah. Another smooth one is actually another move that we actually have in our list when he countered the curb stomp at WrestleMania against Seth Rollins.
Oh yes.
Yeah, when Seth Rollins ended up later on cashing in the Money in the Bank later on that night. Yeah, dude, that was Seth Rollins goes to curb stomp him, and Randy Orton pops up, and Seth Rollins flew into the air. He probably was up like 10, 15 feet in the air, dude. Like, it was so cool. Randy Orton catches him, boom. And, it was like, that is what makes the RKO so amazing, is that it can look crazy, dude. You can do so many things with it. It's so good. It's so good. And they've done so many things with it, and you never get bored of seeing a new way to do an RKO, ever.
Yeah.
Like, you never get sick of it. I mean, you have other superstars. Speaking of that, to talk about this entire list, you have superstars that change their finishers because people get bored of them, Yeah. And all of these, they've never changed because you're never going to get bored of these moves, ever. And the ones on my list, the ones on your list, and ones that aren't even on either one of our lists, there's still other moves that are just as good as these, probably, that are so synonymous with the WWE superstar that does them, that they'll never change their finishers. So it's just, I don't know, but the RKO takes that to the next level of just wanting to see it. It could easily be number one on anybody's list. Let's be real here.
Definitely.
But the reason why I have the Tombstone over the RKO is because I just like the Undertaker more than Randy Orton,
Mhm.
personally. And then I have the Styles Clash over it because I just think Randy Orton is the best in WWE history, technically in the ring. But I think
Yeah.
AJ Styles is the best technical wrestler in the world. Um, Randy Orton would be great without WWE, 100%. But AJ Styles is so cultured in wrestling. He's been
Yeah.
to all the little shows. He's been to the indies. He's been out to New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's been everywhere. If there's a wrestling promotion, he's probably at least had one match in it. And I just he's he's so technologically savvy. It's just he's so good. I don't want to fangirl over AJ Styles. Um,
No, I totally understand. I've watched AJ Styles out of WWE more than I've watched him in WWE.
yeah,
So
it's just so crazy. I'm not saying Randy Orton wouldn't make it outside WWE. Randy Orton didn't need WWE. Well, let's be real here. He would have been huge anywhere. He would have been
right.
if Randy Orton wasn't in the WWE, he would have been a AJ Styles. You know,
Yeah.
he would have been a Kenny Omega, one of these guys that even though they weren't in WWE, are as big or even bigger than the top stars in WWE at that time. So,
Right.
yeah, it was just I love all these finishers. Like this is the first list that literally if we took our finishers and swapped them out, I would read your list as my favorite. I don't care. Like just because there's so many great finishers. So which I just thought of another one, which another podcast that we could do. And whoever listens to this, comment down if you'd like to see it and subscribe so you can see it. Make sure that you get the notification. Top 10 indie wrestlers or top 10 superstars that were never in the WWE or had short stints in the WWE, that made it famous somewhere else. I think that'd be a cool list. I know you're not as much of a WWE guy. I mean, you clearly know what you're talking about. But I mean, not a WWE guy, a wrestling guy. You're a WWE guy for sure. Um, but I watch a lot of wrestling outside of the WWE,
Mhm.
especially more nowadays because WWE has gone in the direction that it has. Um, I watch New Japan Pro Wrestling from time to time. I don't watch TNA as much anymore just because it's kind of a dying uh, thing over there. They can't even get a TV deal. But AEW stuff like that, I watch all that
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um,
Also, leave a comment in the comment section of give us ideas of what we can do for top tens. We always like taking suggestions, and your suggestions mean a lot to us. And if you have a good idea, we may do a top 10 on it. So go ahead and leave a
definitely
comment.
leave a comment, uh, or go to our Instagram and comment on a post or something like that, saying what about this top 10 or what about that top 10. Either one works. He's the
Yeah.
media guy. He'll see it.
Yes.
I don't.
Go follow us on Instagram at mainly. That's MAINELY_sports, and that's sports with a Z. All right. Also, if you guys want to go to the Twitter and check this out, that's going to be mainly sports. It's going to be the same thing as our Instagram with the underscore in the middle. If you want to go check us out on there and give us a follow, and you can see all the content, the same content posted on Instagram is just for the Twitter followers as well. If you have both, follow us on both. So don't forget to do all of that and push that notifications button so you can get all the notifications for us every time we post a new video. And we hope to see your followers out there.
I don't really have anything left to say. What about you?
No, I think I'm all good. It's been fun doing WWE. It brings me back to my younger days, and it's just so fun to do.
It is, dude. It's like I said, dude. It it brings up the little kid in you because
Mhm.
as much as I love sports, WWE was really the first sport I got into. Um,
Yes.
because I was like 3, and when I started getting into Stone Cold, I know that sounds young and doesn't sound believable, but it's true. My dad, my dad let me watch Stone Cold when I was a kid. Like I was I was watching Blue's Clues and then I was watching Stone Cold. As weird as that sounds, dude. Um, I just it was my first love when it came to sports, and it has gotten I don't want to say worse because I think athletically it's gotten better. But I just don't like the storylines anymore as much, or the PG direction they went in. And I get why they have to reset their audience, stuff like that. But yeah, it brings me back to my childhood because it was my first love of sports, and in many ways it opened my eyes to sports to find my love for football and basketball and all the other sports. So yeah, it's cool to do these lists.
Thanks for listening to the Mainly Sports Podcast with Shoop and Jeesh. Make sure to leave a comment and give us your top 10 list. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and follow us on Instagram at mainly_sports. And that's mainly_sports, MAINELY_SPORTZ. Thank you. Till next time.